Hi, this is Prasant. It's been a long time since I made a video for you, and I'm really happy to be able to share one with you today. I'm going to touch on a couple of things in this video that seem to be unrelated. One is an aspect of our own nature, peace. What is peace? I want to talk about that briefly. And secondly, a very specific Carnatic saxophone technique. So that's what I've been felt to share with you today. Two unrelated things, but are they really unrelated? This goes against a lot of the how people present things on YouTube. But I know that some of you out there are like me, someone who plays saxophone or an instrument, and you're going deep into the path of music, and then you're finding that it leads you to your own peaceful nature, understanding what is peace, and wanting to experience that through the music, and then finding that the music actually brings you to your own nature. All right, so first let's talk about one way of looking at what is peace, because there's a lot of talk about, finding peace, being at peace, searching for peace. So in my experience, peace is something which is beyond either pain or pleasure, and is beyond any experience, but it is the source and natural existence that is in all of our experiences, and it provides the continuity to all our experiences. And that peace can also be referred to as awareness, which is just the aspect of you that is experiencing. So when you identify with the aspect of you that is simply experiencing whatever is arising, that aspect is your own awareness. And when you identify with that, which happens naturally because that's actually what you are, more than anything else, you're also all of the other things. But more than anything else, and more essential than any of those things, is your own natural pure awareness. So when you return to that, which is just simply being, you experience peace, what people call peace. And so this is why it's referred to as a peace that passeth understanding. That means it's beyond anything your mind can think of. It's beyond any experience, because it's the core and the substratum, or the source of every experience that you have. So peace is your real nature, and peace cannot be found. It is only what is already here. And you appear to find it when you stop looking at other things. So what you're experiencing now is peace plus something else, perhaps, if you're not feeling that. So when you discard the something else, and you don't have to physically or literally discard it, but you discard it by turning your attention away from it as an object of enjoyment or pain or whatever it is, and letting the mind that is attaching to that object, whether it's a thought, feeling, experience, whatever, and letting it return to its natural source, which is your own beingness awareness, and you experience peace. So the reason I also mentioned, there's a lot of discussion these days in books about the brain and pain and pleasure and dopamine and all of these kind of things. That's all good to look into those things, but to understand your own nature is beyond the pendulum of pain and pleasure. So some people seek through pleasure or pleasurable activities or non-painful activities. And then there's some who seek even through pain to go and experience, to come across the other side of pain. And both of these are fine, but understanding that really what you're trying to do is go beyond the arising of your mind to its source. And that source is already available in every experience you're having. So whether you have pain, whether you have pleasure, whether you have something in between, whether you don't feel like you're experiencing any of those things, the peace is imminent and able to be experienced at any given moment. So you can safely drop any activity that you might be doing to attempt to find peace, and just recognize that you have it right now. Okay, so we can just sit with that for a brief moment. So as wonderful as this nectar of peace is, as sweet and beautiful as it is, you'll find that you'll always return to the next experience that arises. As long as you have a body to experience, there is feeling that there is something experiencing. There will be another experience. So you don't need to prevent uncomfortable experiences. You can just ride the wave into the next experience. And that's partially why I'm making this video about two unrelated things that you might think is unrelated, but they're really not. They're all part of the same symphony of experience. And playing an instrument like the saxophone or any instrument you're playing is part of that. And you can deal with practical things like how to play certain things, how to work on certain things, doing your taxes, going for fitness, going for a run, taking care of the dishes. All that stuff is part of this experience and can be embraced as normal and natural, not lower than. So I want to talk about a quick technique today in the Carnatic classical music, which is the accent or the punch that's used a lot in Carnatic music that lets you give a certain special accent unique to the music. Okay, so I'll give you a little example. This is Raga Kambhoji. So that punch, they call it a punch. So it's an accent where you jump to a higher note from a lower note. And how to do that on the saxophone, because in vocal it comes kind of naturally. They just say "Gary," it just comes like that. But on an instrument, you actually have to create it with the keys and your articulation. So what I'm doing is, for example, if I play from Ga, if I want to create a punch on Ga coming down, I would do Sagari, Sarisa, and you would. The main point that I want to mention that's kind of not always obvious to figure out is where to tongue. So you want to give your tongue articulation at the moment of changing the note. And if you were to zoom very close, you would actually have to tongue it on the first note and immediately go to the next note. So it sounds kind of like this. So again, to do that accent, you want to tongue at the moment of changing the note right before you change. So Sagari, Drisa, Sani, Panida, Papa. This is an example. Okay, so you're gonna practice. You can do it in any raga, for example, Maya Malvagala. You can practice up and down the scale. Okay, so it's a unique and an important technique to really get that Carnatic music sound. And you can actually use this in different styles of music as well. So highly recommend it. I call this sometimes split tonguing. It's different from what's referred to as split tonguing in other styles of music. But in Carnatic music, it's almost like you're splitting the note with your articulation. And it sounds as though it's one note. All right, so have fun with this technique. And for those of you that are new to this channel, welcome and thank you for watching. Here I share a lot of Carnatic music, South Indian classical saxophone techniques, tips, and also just approaches to music that are practical for developing your practice in a deep and beautiful way that you can enjoy the music for what it is. And lastly, but also extremely important, is using music as a vehicle to return to our own nature, which I had mentioned earlier, talking about it, is peace and happiness, and really the realization of what we are, which has been coined by many sages as self-realization. And that's really the main purpose, you could say, though what we are is already that, so there isn't really a purpose per se, but for you to realize your own nature, which is self-evident as this natural beingness that you are, and simply enjoy the truth of that for the remainder of our existence, which, is in this body temporarily, but doesn't really end per se. So realizing that it puts an end to any confusion and unhappiness. And so that's really the top priority of the life. And music is a very helpful medium to explore that. So that's why I share these things together. So if this is something of interest to you, please feel free to subscribe, share it with your friends, and look forward to more. You'll also see this shared in the form of music meditation tracks, which you can simply put on, and the sound will help you rest in your own nature very easily. All right? Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day, week, and year.